before we draw the curtain on the tournament, though, we do have one more game to play. It's the third place playoff against Belgium. Is it a decent way to spend a Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, or is it a worthless game?
I'm going to be dual watching. I'm going to have the Liverpool-Bury game on.
Showing what high standard you place on the World Cup's penultimate fixture then.
Yeah,
it ranks alongside a pre-season friendly against a lower league.
I think it may well be the most pointless game in football, alongside the Community Shield, which I just don't... I don't know why they play it. Mm-hmm. What purpose? You don't win a medal for second, so why do they do a game for third and fourth? I don't get it.
It's a strange one. As you say, it's not.
Sorry,
like
they don't do a trophy for second. Yeah, they do medals. Exactly. Everyone gets a medal for finishing second. But I don't know. Maybe we'll watch it, and at the end of the game, they'll go, "Here's your bronze medal."
Well, yeah, and then England will be the bronze generation.
To the players that finish third, and then the players that finish fourth, they go, "Oh, sorry lads, we haven't got anything for you. You're a bunch of losers.
You are the losers.
You get nothing."
So I've been knocked out of the first round. Yeah.
Wow.
And that will be harsh.
Or maybe they get a medal too.
It could be medals for all.
I don't know.
I don't know what colour medal that would be. Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Bronze and
Gold, silver, bronze. Iron.
The Woods League.
Iron.
Yeah, a nice
Did the Iron Age become?
Yes, it did. Yeah, Iron Age, Bronze Age. Yeah. But yeah, I see.
Here's an iron medal for you. I've knocked this together. We've had the Ironmongers in the forge before you came out for the game. So there's your name on that medal. How's that treating you?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a medal for participation, isn't it? Really, and I mean.
Here's a question for you then. For the game, what team, given the importance of the game, and in particular the pressure placed on international managers by club managers to look after their players, what team do you put out for the third, fourth place playoff?
There's two schools of thought for this, isn't there? You can either play a strong team as a way to end the tournament on a positive note, to continue the showing faith in the people who've become a part of the first 11,
and possibly still lose the game,
and risk the additional shame of losing that, and possibly playing against a reserve team and the added shame of that, and still losing the game. I mean, it brings back memories of the guard of honour that Man United had to put on for Chelsea after Chelsea won the title, and it was. We played a reserve team that day, and it was Dong Fang Zhao and a bunch of kids basically giving an applause.
Sounds like a Batman villain. Is that even a real name?
Dong Fang Zhao, yeah, he was the highest rated Chinese prodigy who was going to go on and revolutionise football, and certainly wasn't signed just as a marketing tool and a way to increase our presence in Chinese markets. Yeah. Scored a grand total of 0 Premier League games for 0 Premier League goals for Man United. But yeah, could have happened, eh? But I think Southgate will go with. I think he'll go with roughly a similar team, and only really replace the players who have either injuries or are really, really tired. The reason being,
I have suspicions that we've had a few players carrying injuries, despite Southgate saying at the start of the tournament that he wouldn't play anyone that wasn't fully fit.
He's a liar.
He's lying. I think we have had a few players carrying injuries. Henderson in the last game. I think Ali's been carrying injury the whole tournament. And given Kane's lack of movement in the last 2 games, I think he's potentially been carrying injury as well. So I think those 3 certainly will sit out this game. If my injury suspicions are correct, then I think all 3 of them will be sitting this game out. I tell you, somebody who I'd love to see in this game is Loftus-Cheek. I think he was a huge miss from the semi-final, And I just love him. I love his dynamism. I think he's an absolute brilliant player. And I think I can't believe he doesn't get a game for Chelsea.
No, true. And I mean, it's getting on to new topics, but we'll see next season whether he has to be farmed out on loan again to make place for the massive talent of Michy Batshuayi. I mean,
well, it's getting a little bit like
crazy.
Lukaku when they just would not utilise him. And it becomes a mystery as to, are they doing something in training? You start to question the player. You start to think, are they doing something wrong in training? Have they fallen out with the manager? Because Lukaku is clearly a great player. And they just did not... It was almost a ready-made replacement for Drogba. And they just ignored him entirely.
No, exactly. And I think that was, Mourinho has a certain way with young players. And the situation never seems to be right at Chelsea to bring them through. So getting back to this game, I agree with what you're saying about injuries obviously dictating who start, and I think also that tiredness, fatigue would also be the modifier in that as well. I think Southgate will play a full strength team minus pretty generous fitness test, as it were. I think if anyone's nursing a knock or is at 60%, and maybe for a Champions League final they might be able to get themselves up and play, I don't think they'll be risked. But other than that, I think Southgate will want to finish the tournament on a high. I think he will know that despite how quote unquote irrelevant the result is, it's still watched by a lot of people. It's still probably what the nation will come away with, a rough feeling for how the tournament went.
Something you touched on there was their inclination to get themselves up to play. Do you think that any of the first teamers are going to be bothered about this game? How do you think they approach this game?
I think that Kane will approach it knowing that he wants to get the golden boot in the bag,
which is pretty much already sewn up.
Yeah,
none of his competitors scored in the semi-finals. So
that's true. He's currently 2 goals ahead, but I mean he is playing against Lukaku. So if Lukaku can score against a reserve England defence,
need 4 to take it away from them.
Okay, that's very very unlikely. And you think it is Kane's,
and then Mbappe would need 3 in the final to take it away from him.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, it's almost certainly Kane's, and just given his history in the Premier League for wanting to claim goals.
Yeah,
I can
see Kane's motivation. I can see him wanting to play again. I don't see, but was he carrying an injury, and does he need to play? That's the question.
Yeah, agreed. He didn't look fit when he ended the game. Whether that's tiredness and just the condition he was in, or whether that was actually a knock, then I think that
he barely moved. He looked like he barely moved during the game, did he?
Yeah, exactly.
And I genuinely wondered if it was only on the pitch for set pieces.
Well, I think it was partially that, and I think it was partially because you just can't really take off England's top goal scorer and Harry Kane.
No, you can't. But can you imagine in the first half we would have played Vardy and Sterling, and we had 2 players of that kind of pace getting in behind that defence, just constantly putting them under pressure, because Lovren and is it Vida?
Yeah, the other centre back.
Lovren and Vida just looked at a loss as to how to cope with it for that first half. And granted, they came out in the second half and did not look troubled for the whole second half. They were imperious, really.
Yeah.
But in that first half, with a bit of pace from Sterling, they looked like they were really worried.
No, I would agree. And on the subject of Lovren, as a Liverpool fan, and a bit has been made of this in the British press, that his performance in the game as well as his antics have made him a few enemies and a few people questioning whether he should have been sent off, and for basically playing the role of a pantomime villain, as we know that the British press likes to do. Obviously, famously, Ronaldo back in 2004, the Euros in 2004, was absolutely painted as a villain. Is there any hostility or is the England fan in you a little bit? I don't know. Is your opinion of him changed since seeing how he took on that game?
Having watched the whole game and the highlights, I'm still not sure what you're referencing in terms of.
well, there's a couple of things. In the first half, he arguably should have been booked twice. There is an argument to say that he should have had 2 yellow cards for his first challenge on Kane. I think when he turned him, and the one later on in the half.
Oh yeah. When he turned him on the halfway line, it totally should have had a yellow card for that. That was ridiculous. That no card. He's the last man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's the last man, and it's such a cynical challenge. It's. I don't think that's. But that's down to the ref. That's not down to the
course. And beyond that, it was just the aggressive, abrasive performance in with a few England players. He certainly wasn't shy in making his opinions known to Kane and to the England teammates, and was a bit. There was a little bit of shithousery, should we say? So maybe not in the same league as Ronaldo winking at the bench.
But, isn't it? That's the sort. Do you know what? That's the sort of thing that, as a Liverpool fan, most of our players are lacking. There's so often I've seen us turn up to a game and lose the game because we don't have enough dickheads in the side. And I just really wish that we had. Back when we had Luis Suarez, we'd never lose a close game because he'd do something to ensure that somebody got sent off, or just tiny little things that always gave us an advantage. And we haven't had a player like that since Luis Suarez. And so if Lovren's going to try and take that mantle, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, he did seem to certainly. Well, it meant a lot to him to play for his country, and in the pre-match conference, he was asked a question from an English journalist about Harry Kane. The question on the lines of Kane's got the better of you.
The way he rinsed him in the 4-1 at Wembley.
Yeah, exactly. And he responded really prickly and was quite defensive about that. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but in his performance, I think he certainly engaged in the dramatics and the occasion of well, I don't even know if I'd go as far as to say the dark arts. He basically if there was a villain of the piece who the English media could point at as going above the line, it would perhaps be Lovren. But he's playing for his bloody country, and I'm not going to pretend that I think there's any issue there whatsoever. And I thought it was ridiculous when Ronaldo was pilloried by the press, and Gerrard famously. The quote in his book about if I was Rooney, I would smack him when he gets back to pre-season training and all this. If you're playing for your country, it's just separate, and it doesn't need to go any. There's no secret of why these players want to win at absolute all costs.
Well, I don't think there's anyone that would begrudge him what he's done. It's not like he has. He's not rolled around the floor like Neymar has and tried to get somebody sent off. It's not like that, is it? No. And I think that's the kind of behaviour that people despise, or other footballers despise. The rest of it they get. The tackling on the halfway line, they get that. That everybody would put their body on the line to be that sort of thing. And I think that's acceptable in modern football.
Agreed.
I think so. What I would like to see from this game, from the England players, whoever plays, is a real, genuine desire to win. Not for the sake of winning third place, but for the sake of playing for England. And I think, in general, Sterling aside, I've seen that desire from every single England player that they've really wanted to win for the country as much as themselves. And I would like to see a continuation of that, not for the sake of taking the third place trophy home, but for the sake of their own pride and saying that I'm playing for England and this means something to me. And they need to put their disappointment aside and go out and represent their country. And that's what they need to do in every single friendly. And I consider this game a friendly as much as any other one. And I think that's what they need to do in every single friendly. They need to treat it like It's a cup final. They need to treat it like it means something.
And that has certainly been one of the defining features of England at this tournament, is that they have connected as a team and as a squad that enjoys playing for their country more so than any other England team really has, and certainly more than any other player who would look at it as a distraction from their club careers and their more important cup finals and whatever else they're preparing for with their club career. Saying that, if you were Gareth Southgate, would you play the quote-unquote reserves for that reason? Would you play the players who haven't had a chance so far and basically
I would.
You're motivated because you're playing for your place in the future lineup?
I would basically play everybody that hasn't had a game or hasn't been in the first team, and I would play Kane up front to give him a chance to bank some more goals in. If he is fit. I don't think he is fit. I certainly hope he isn't fit, given the performance that he's just put in against Croatia.
Yeah, no, true. It would certainly explain a lot. I think the risk with that, though, is that you can, in playing the reserves alone, you sort of send the message that it's not that important.
No, but
perhaps in a prediction.
I think what he says to those reserves is really important, and I think it's that you are playing for your place in this squad. You go out there and win me this, and you put pressure under everybody that is ahead of you. Players like somebody like Alexander-Arnold, surely he has to play because he put in a great performance against Belgium reserves, and is surely deserving of another game. Players like Loftus-Cheek has been brilliant every single time he's come on the pitch. Why he was not involved in that game yesterday, I will never know. And I certainly hope it's not because of an injury, because that means we won't see him in the third place playoff. I would, as much as I am poo-pooing the third place playoff, I still want us to win it. Yeah,
of course. As any game you watch as a fan of a team, you want to see.
I want bronze, I don't want iron.
Exactly. And I do agree that there is probably two types of a reserve team. There is players who you want to give a place to just from a sense of duty or contractual obligation, and there's also the young players who are chomping at the bit, who will someday be the replacements for the first team, and you can do the latter and give places to the latter without necessarily making it a meaningless friendly. One of the things, not to bring it onto United again, is that Mourinho has been criticised for the last few games of the season when we had nothing to play for. Rather than playing the kids, he played squad players, and he played old squad players who maybe he wanted in the shop window, maybe he wanted to give them, this is why you should stay at the club. But
then that's
an
argument about what's best for the club, isn't it? And I guess if you stretch that analogy, you're saying, okay, well, what's best for England's future? Yeah, and I don't think we're going to get anything out of playing Rose over Young. Because he might not even be playing the next game. He probably actually will be playing the next game over Young. But I think we need to see Delph in the squad? I don't necessarily know. I'd prefer to see Lingard so he can redeem himself. I think I definitely want to see Loftus-Cheek. I'm happy to see Dyer in there, because he definitely has a future, and I think Henderson's carrying an injury. I think up front you've got to go with Harry Kane if he's fit, just to give him that chance to bash in the goals. But then I wouldn't be disappointed to see Rashford and Vardy start up front. That would be no disappointment for me whatsoever. And then across the back, I definitely want to see Alexander-Arnold in. I don't need to see Cahill ever again for England. I've got no interest in that.
Yeah, I think that's harsh but probably true.
And then, so I guess maybe you have a question over if we use sub-keeper. Maybe Butland. I really like and rate Butland. Do we need to see a keeper that's probably going to be playing in the Championship next season?
Well, that's it, and probably won't be the England first choice keeper unless Pickford has a massive dip in form.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be fine for pretty much all of the changes that you listed and all of the team that you listed. For me, it's about, are these players going to be playing in the future? And in that case, you can go to them and say, yes, you are playing for your place in this side for the next 4 or 5 years. This is going to be the biggest game that you as a 20-year-old may play on the international stage for the next 4 years, but make it count, and this will be your blooding for the next World Cup. If you go to Rose and say, look, we're giving you this run out, then it becomes a bit more cynical, and that that might be a message that he's heard 10 or 15 times. Exactly. So I think that I would agree with that.
I just wonder what, if the same players were not incentivised to do better against Belgian reserves in that third group game, what incentive do they now have to win the third place playoff?
Exactly.
I just think it's the same kind of game. I don't really see a vast difference between that. And I think they actually played okay against Belgian reserves, but nobody shone a light on themselves, did they?
No, it all was down to the man. There wasn't really any hugely standout performances. He was good, actually.
I love him. I just love him.
But yeah, so it will be interesting to see who Southgate goes with. It will also be interesting to see who Belgium play. Their manager's spoken a couple of times about wanting to end the tournament in the right way and not being this team doesn't deserve to end with this negativity. So I think he'll probably play a strong team.
Let's do, in that case, 3 predictions, okay? One is as a percentage, how close to the first 11 that started the semi-finals do first Belgium and then England play? And thirdly,
second.
That's 2. That's 2 each. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the third is what's the score going to be?
Interesting. So the England team first, I would say that of the team from the Croatia game, 7 of them will be the same, so there'll be 4 changes to the first 11, I would say. Other than that, I think it will be a pretty strong team for the same reasons. Only knocks and non-fitness will be the changes. Belgium, I think, will be similar. I think Lukaku will certainly play, and for the outside shot of winning the Golden Boot, and I think that they'll want to end the tournament well as well. So I'll say, of the Belgian team, let's say 8 of their first 11 against France will probably play. And finally, as for the score, I think it'll go a similar way to the group game. I think, as you have so eloquently put, it's not a game that either of them will really look at as being essential to their future. And I can see in a game like that, the quality that Belgium have probably in the end becoming a bit too much for a reserve England team or a weakened England team who is perhaps not on 100% of their game. So I would say it going probably 2-0 to Belgium, I think.
Okay. I think 4 changes for England, and I'm thinking 6 changes for Belgium.
Okay, so you've gone for the same amount of changes to England as me.
Yeah.
And then for Belgium, 3 more than I have.
Yeah, so with Belgium, I'm thinking that they have a lot more players that are closer to the first team standard. Not because their reserves are so good. It's not like that. It's that once you get past Lukaku, Hazard, and De Bruyne. Once you get past their big names, I'm not really including Vertonghen in this. But once you get past their 4 big names, Courtois as well, I think the rest of the squad are pretty much interchangeable. So I think we'll see more changes from them actually. And for the score, I'm going to go 2-1 England, because I can't predicting a loss for England.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think it's one of those games where the score could be anything. You don't know how serious both teams will take it.
It's really tough when you don't know the lineups.
Yeah.
You'd probably be able to make a much more accurate prediction of the score if we were sat here an hour before the game knowing the lineups.
That's it. And I mean, it's at that level as well. If one team is not taking it seriously and is therefore off their game, the quality's there to score 3, 4, 5, and it can be an absolute rout. So it'll certainly be an interesting one. We'll see how it turns out.
Interestingly, I don't think it will be as competitive as the Community Shield. I think it will.
It's a damning indictment.
Yeah, well, because the Community Shield often ends up quite fiery. And I think that actually we'll see a quite conciliatory tone to the third place. I think there'll be respect between both teams. I think there's friendship between a lot of the players on show.
Well, they all play for basically the same clubs, don't they? 10 of the 11 starting 11 play in the Premier League.
I think I just hope they put on a show. I hope they treat it as an exhibition and really put themselves on show.
Yeah, agreed. I think whoever you support, you can agree that you'd want to see a good spectacle on the world stage. So we'll see how it ends up, and that'll be really interesting.
Okay, so how was your San Miguel, Mike?
Yeah, it performed better than Spain did, I think, at this World Cup, I would say. It was, refreshing and perfect drink for a Friday afternoon.
I've had a taste for it since I got back from Mallorca, so it's bang on for me, mate.
There you go. Perfect. On that note, we'll see you guys next time. Yeah.
So, how has your pint been, Mike?
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Good to hear. So, thanks for listening, guys, and we hope you tune in next time.
Cheers, guys.